because the Lions showed like, hey, we're actually a better team. The Cowboys offense did not look that dynamic in this game.
No, it didn't. It's CeeDee Lamb or bust. And CeeDee Lamb had a great game. And even if you took out that massive 92-yard touchdown, he was all over the field. And CeeDee Lamb's been incredible this year. That's well documented. But outside of CeeDee Lamb, what else was there? Tony Pollard didn't get it going.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks didn't get it going. Jake Ferguson was nowhere to be found. It's like, who's the rest of the offense? Without CeeDee Lamb, God forbid CeeDee Lamb were to get banged up, or God forbid, one of their top corners could shut him down for a game. They don't have an offense after that. It's CeeDee Lamb or bust. And, I know Dak Prescott's a capable quarterback, but at the same time, like, when you're competing with a Lions defense that has that chip on their shoulder, Dan Campbell said that after this game was propane for the fire that's within the Detroit Lions. So they're going to go in there. I would love, and I pray that we're going to see them face the Cowboys in the second round, because that game, all the animosity that the Lions must have at this point, to go out there and beat them in the playoffs at this point, that'll justify things.
Yeah, the Cowboys don't deserve to get to the second round. I just hope the Packers make it, and then Aaron Jones runs all over them, and they lose to Jordan Love, because that'd be hilarious. But yeah, I hope we get a rematch, because with this game, it's like with the Lions, they're like, oh, we hung with them. It was supposed to be the big bad Cowboys. They averaged 40 points at home. We had a night where we had Jimmy Johnson being inducted into the Cowboys Hall of Fame, and guess what? Jared Goff had a bad game through 2 interceptions. Probably not going to do that the next time they play. We have a great shot at beating them. So for this, this is a massive moral victory for the Lions, and should have been an actual victory, because if you just win, play a kind of a game, you get away on the road, you get that 2-point conversion, you're not going to be as motivated to go in there and kick their ass the next time. The Cowboys are going to be like, oh, we played a bad game. We hung in there with the Lions. We normally drop 40 points at home, and they would be at least a little bit more motivated to come out and beat the Lions. So I think it's going to be a crazy matchup and a lot of venom, especially if they rematch.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a lot of animosity there, and I'm hoping that the Lions pull through.
Yeah, and then that referee crew has officially been demoted for the playoffs, so they are not going to be calling any more games. They're the ones behind the Seattle Seahawks game as well for the Dallas Cowboys. So that's like pretty much 2 wins at home that the Dallas Cowboys have gotten handed to them, with the Seattle Seahawks game and then the Detroit Lions game. So the Cowboys, definitely frauds here. Definitely frauds. You just lost to the Dolphins, who lost to the Ravens by 50.
Yeah, and that's a good game to pivot to. Ravens win 56-19, shuts down the Dolphins. I going into this game, I felt a lot more confident in the Ravens. I feel like they're legitimate. They should be legitimate favorites in the AFC with how great their roster is. Lamar Jackson had a masterclass game, perfect QBR, solidifies himself as the MVP. And then the Dolphins, on the other hand, just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, the Dolphins couldn't get anything going. And then there are some people that are like, oh, yeah, I can't wait to see the Dolphins in the playoffs. I love Mike McDaniels. And it's like, why? Every time the Dolphins play a big game, they get their ass kicked, whether it's at 1 o'clock, whether it's on national television. Oh, sure, you beat the Dallas Cowboys, who can't beat anyone on the road unless it's the Washington Commanders or the New York Giants. Congratulations, you beat the Dallas Cowboys at home. And then that was a game where there's a fluky play on special teams, and you could have also lost that one. So it's like, I'm so glad that that was the first team you beat, and then you've also beaten the Buffalo Bills. Outside of that, they can't beat any winning teams. Tua looks lost anytime he plays a good defense versus this Baltimore Ravens team. Every time he threw the play over the middle trying to force the ball to Tyreek, versus Baltimore, versus Cleveland, versus Kansas City, that's just not going to fly there. And then also, my main complaint with the Miami Dolphins are people like, oh yeah, their run game is so good. I'm like, yes, when it doesn't need to be good and you're already blowing out a really bad team and that defense is demoralized. Anytime they need a run game going, to get a run game going, to take the pressure off of Tua, it's nowhere to be found. Raheem Mostert is nowhere to be found, and he's not like a bell cow back there. And then Tyreek Hill is pretty much Tyreek Hill or bust in this offense. And yeah, Tua's just turning the ball over. And then the Ravens at home, I thought they could potentially have a upset because they're coming off that massive win in San Francisco, but apparently Lamar Jackson heard that no one wants the MVP this year, and it's been changing week to week, and he decided, all right, if no one wants the MVP, let me go out there versus the Miami Dolphins, who are challenging us for the 1 seed after they can't beat a winning team, and I'm gonna not run and pass for 5 touchdowns. I'm going to go out there and throw for 5 touchdowns. Normally,
Mhm.
I would say Lamar Jackson had 5 touchdowns. You'd be like, oh, that's nice. He threw for 2 and he ran for 3. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Nope. Lamar Jackson's like, how about Isaiah Likely being a monster? How
Yeah.
about Odell Beckham Jr. looking like Odell Beckham Jr.?
Say Flowers.
Yeah, how about Zay Flowers showing up here? How
Mhm.
about even Nelson Aguilar having a small contribution?
Yeah, and he had more touchdowns than incompletions in this game. Absolutely put on a clinic, and I think it's all but certain now he's going to win the MVP. And I'm really excited. I talked about this last week with this Ravens team. Lamar Jackson has a real opportunity to bring back that argument. For the last several years, it's been Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and then who's number two? And we've seen Josh Allen go in there to some people. We've seen Joe Burrow go in there. We've seen Jalen Hurts float around there at certain points. But Lamar Jackson, if he goes in here, he wins his second MVP and he wins a Super Bowl, he's going to have what no other quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes has, which is, first of all, the eye test, which I think Patrick Mahomes obviously has. He has a chance to potentially surpass Patrick Mahomes, I think, if he can win that Super Bowl and then could start to have more playoff success in the next 2, 3 years with the defense that he has, with the weapons he has. He has an opportunity to make the argument there again. Because I
Okay.
think Patrick Mahomes, he's been the surefire, best player in the league for about the last 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
And now with Lamar, he's got the running ability that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have. He has the eye test. Him and Lamar have gone hand to hand several times, and it's been a duel. So the only thing that he's missing, it's not the accolades, it's the playoff success. Go out there, win a Super Bowl, go out there next year, at least make it to a title game. It's like, I think we can start to have that conversation again. And then he would also solidify himself at number two.